Hello everyone and welcome to topic 3. Our topic now is green as sustainable aftermarket, and I'm so delighted that I'm not alone here on stage. I've got the host with me, Dr. Holger Hettich. I'm very thrilled to have you at my side, and so far so good, day one?
So far so good, so I think we had a good start. We had two interesting sessions, and now let's jump in the third one.
We definitely will. Green and sustainable aftermarket, obviously a very important topic.
It is. And we at ZF, and especially ZF Aftermarket, we are highly committed to a sustainable future. So we feel responsible for our planet. We only have one. And this session is, now we're going to deep dive in what we mentioned earlier a bit. What does sustainability, what does green acting mean for us in the aftermarket, in the industry, and for our customers as well? So for the workshops, the distributors, the fleets, the mechanics, how can we help them to act more responsibly?
As you just mentioned, we did hear a lot about sustainability today, and we are going to make a deep dive now, and that's why we're going to start off this topic with a keynote. And we've got an expert for sustainable future mobility at the University of St. Gallen, and he will give us an overview of how mobility impacts our climate, which of course is also an absolutely crucial topic. So we're delighted to have Dr. Hans-Peter Kleebinder with us. Hans-Peter, the stage is yours.
Is this the future of our mobility? Do we have to leave our planet Earth and move to Mars? That's the vision of David Bowie and Major Tom. And Elon Musk is really stepping into David Bowie's footprints. Fact is that today the discussion about the future of our mobility is more dense, it's all over the place. It's at home with our kids, at school. It's part of politicians, of elections. So mobility and our future is very strong together. I'm Hans-Peter Kleebinder. I'm an independent expert, and I have 24 years of experience in the automotive industry. I had the honor and the pleasure to work for the brand Mini for 10 years. And I spent 7 years with BMW and Audi. 4 years ago, I decided to quit the industry, and really now my new mission is to fight for future sustainable, enjoyable mobility. I do this with keynotes. I love to go to China before Corona, and hopefully soon again. And I have one new mission that I do, like kind of fitness program for the mobility revolution. I do it at the University of St. Gallen, and we try to make the movers and shakers of the future to make fit for this future I will now talk about. Why mobility? Why is it so important for myself? I strongly believe that it's one of our major things we live for. We breathe, we eat, we make love. We need shelter, housing, and we want to move from A to B whenever we want and how we want. I call it my personal autonomy, which really is part of the quality of life. And you all remember the first time you were on your bicycle or your scooter as a kid, and for the first time you were driving without the helping hand of your mother or father, like here, my son Emilio. And so I think it's really deep in our heart. 1995, I did a research study about the future of mobility in Europe. It was funded by BMW. Why? We had Al Gore and Club of Rome. They told us we have a problem, we are in deep shit. The climate is changing. And BMW thought, hey, our basis of our business, selling nice cars, is in danger. So we were working on a kind of strategy. It was called Company Mobility, 1995. I then spent, again, these 24 years in the industry. I really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. And then I got out. One of the reasons, the main reason was the Corona. And in 2019, and you saw some of the headlines before, which were quite irritating and drawing a negative picture. In 2019, this exploded. It got more brutal, more international. Suicide was one of the titles. We had, on the height, really questioned whether the car is a future anymore. And in the last 2 years, again, this exploded. We heard about the IPCC report. And now, more than 20 years later, we know for sure we are in deep danger, we are in deep shit. And we need to act now. We have catastrophes like flooding, like rain, like fire, really all over the globe, not just in certain parts. And so I really think the topic of future sustainable mobility has now the tipping point, and it will really be the main topic for the next years. Fact is, today we are more mobile than ever. Those facts and figures were before Corona, but they really didn't change a lot. Maybe we will have less containers. Maybe we'll have less cruises. But overall, we are very mobile. We are so mobile that the ownership of cars is restricted. We have bans in German cities because of diesel. In Singapore and Shanghai, there's a sweepstake if you want to have an own car. So it's limited the amount of cars. So the tendency for regulations and to forbid mobility is growing. So my mission is to preserve mobility for the future, because I strongly believe, again, it's part of our quality of life. And I got 3 demands. The first one is zero emissions. We can no longer afford that many people die and get injured and sick because of air pollution. Those figures speak for themselves. Fact is, in North America, over 133 million people are really suffering from air pollution. And the bad thing is we have the tendency of growing megacities worldwide. 2050, more than 70% of the whole population will live in megacities. And there the air pollution is the worst problem. So the problem is really getting really, really bad. And we have right now more than 300 million children are breathing extremely toxic air, says the World Health Organization. And over 80% of the world's citizens live on air pollution levels which danger their health. So I really hope that we put more focus on fighting this challenge, this crisis, than we do now. Next demand, 0 fatalities. We heard this morning by Oliver. Just imagine every day 3 airplanes crash, everybody is dead. Unbelievable? No. That's exactly the amount of people in 1 year who die on our streets. It's 1.2 million. 1.2 million per year. And a lot of us know somebody in the family or friends who had some accident or even died on the streets. And we have now possibilities to save more than 90% of those lives through digital new innovations like autonomous traveling, assistant traveling. So really, this can be done. Maybe not 0, but close to 0. And the third one, 0 traffic jam. We spend more than 400 billion hours per year in traffic jam. In Munich, my hometown, we spend around 5 days per year just in traffic jams. It goes up to 16 days in Bogota or in big cities in Asia. So it's really a loss of quality of life we give away our lifetime. So 3 strong demands. I cannot tell you which one is the fastest or which one will prevalent. But one thing I know for sure, that this nice steering wheel we all love with the logo in the middle will lose its power, let's say, in its dimension. And the new instrument for mobility will be here, our mobile phone. We will have this one app which knows us, which guides us, which pays for us, which is going to be our personal assistant to bring us from A to B, more sustainable, more safe, and I say just more smart. And if I would have to pick out one of the many innovations, Uber and Didi and a lot of innovations we heard during those days, I would like to show one. It's BlaBlaCar. Very simple. We have only in Germany 48 million cars. We have a lot of driver capacity, seat capacity. We only use 1.2 seats. And 23 hours per day, our cars are not moving. So BlaBlaCar is just a service like a Facebook for mobility, where you can put your routes from A to B, your car, and you just take people with you. And here you see the normal situation, and here it's myself. So I drive a Volkswagen Bulli. It's a big car with 6 seats. But I think I find a good way for myself that when I drive, like from Munich to Berlin, I take up to 6 people. And my highlight is if I have drivers who love to drive and can drive, and I can sit in my own car, work, enjoy the ride. And I think that's just one of the ideas. Sharing is caring. And I think it's a simplest idea how we can solve these problems. And last week I met Holger and the team on the new IAA Mobility in Munich. And we saw a lot of new innovations. And I was really fascinated by ZF also, with the new supercomputer, with the people mover, with a lot of new ideas talking about recycling and really looking at the whole value chain. So I really think a lot of innovations. And for myself, I'm looking on the roaring 20s now, where all these innovations we talked about the last decade will really come into reality. So if we do those things, 0 emissions, 0 traffic jams, 0 accidents, we have 3 chances. And I really would love to reach those, let's call them goals. One is we will be a healthier living. Our cities will change. Through Corona, we were thinking maybe it doesn't make sense to build our cities just around our cars. Maybe there are also two-wheelers or pedestrians. Maybe parking space is not the most intelligent way to cover areas placed in our cities. An average between 30 up to 55% in our cities is covered by cars and parking spaces. And we are now realizing maybe there are new ideas. All over the place in Europe, we are testing new forms of cultivating and renaturing our cities. We have Paris with a 15 minutes goal, where everything you need you can reach in 15 minutes. From personal needs, education, health, work. I think that's going to be a big, big development. And our cities will just be more livable. And I think that's a bright future. We will live safer. A lot of lives will be saved. And furthermore, my kid, my son with 9, he can earlier be brought from A to B, to school, to sport, whatever. And my father with 85, I had to take away his driver's license, which was for me and my sister really, really a very bad thing. And he, in the future, will be longer mobile from move to A to B. And again, we just will save lives. It's still very underestimated, but we really should put it in our focus. And the third one, I like most, I get most creative, is about relaxed living and driving. When I move from this place to home, I would love to use this car. In average in Germany, we use 45 minutes commuting from home to work. What if this time is given to me to spend sleeping, working, chilling, gaming, whatever? There already are a lot of startups like Holoride, which do backseat entertainment. And I think this will change our daily routine and improve it dramatically, with all the other effects we talked yesterday. So really 3 bright visions for our future. And I put this in a short summary, in a nutshell, where I say a kind of future green mobility manifesto. I put it in 2035 because we need to reach it then. Because 2050 is a transition time we need to really have 0 emission. And we will have our cars in average 15 years, maybe more or less, on the road. So mobility is a basic human need and I think right. It might be as strong as our right for education and for health, that it's really provided by our authorities and our state. It will be carbon-free and climate neutral. It will be safe and intelligent. And it will be connected in intermodular. It will be easy to change from 4 to 2 to 1 wheel or whatever. So this interconnectivity will be important. And with all these new innovations, the main goal will be to have a more sustainable future. And I think, again, with this, we can help with our prosperity and really improve quality of our life. And if we do this, we have a chance that we will not have to move to the planet Mars, but stay on Earth. And I brought 3 more slides to really put the frame for the discussion very quickly. One is we have the Paris Climate Agreement and we have the new Green Deal. And this is going to set the framework which is really set. Second one, if you look at the SDGs, we have 4 we really can focus on. And all 4 of them, you see on the slide, are putting a lot of challenges, but also opportunities for the automotive industry and all other sectors. So the sector telecommunication, energy, all the other sectors, we will grow together to a new mobility ecosystem. So 3 questions for us. How will automotive linear value chains change to circular economy models? Second one, which green tech innovations will be the drivers and enablers for our future? And the last one, who will lead the global green tech race in the mobility industry? Which nations, which companies will really be the winners? And with this, I want to close and really look not just on the challenges, but on the big business opportunities, which we have now and for our future generations. Let's move smart. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Hans-Peter. That was very, very inspiring. It was also kind of shook me up a little bit in between to hear, obviously, also these numbers. I mean, it's definitely something to think about. And I'm sure we'll talk about some of the points later on in this topic. But thank you very much, Hans-Peter. Also, we have 2 new guests here. One of them we already saw. Obviously, we have Marco Neubold. You're the Global Head of Business Line Industrial Aftermarket and New Mobility. So welcome back. Good to have you again, Marco.
Thanks for having me.
And also we have Martin Schmidt, the Global Head of Strategy and Ecosystem. So hello to you as well.
Thanks. Hi.
And of course, Holger.
And of course, I'm here
You're
again.
always here, obviously,
I'm here again.
and I'm so glad you are.
And I'm also glad. I still have to digest some of the topics you mentioned, Hans-Peter. Yeah. So I think you brought a lot of depth for us and for our discussion. And I especially like to see that future where we start living relaxed in our cars. It was a nice picture, and I started dreaming already.
Yeah, I kind of like that as well. I mean, that's definitely something that's in the head, right? And because whenever you hear the numbers that you said before, and then when you look into the future like that, it makes it very promising and very positive.
I think we are now in a moment where really it's happening. And you show it with your innovations. And it will start in the cities because it's most obvious, it's most challenging. And if you look on the globe, you know, there are some areas, you mentioned Singapore, Shanghai. So maybe we are not the first ones in Europe, but we have the chance to learn and then take the right decisions.
And absolutely, I mean, and we have to change something that's obvious. And Marco, the importance of the topic of sustainability, I mean, we saw in the keynote already a lot of the points there. But why is this topic of importance, especially also for suppliers of ZF?
Well, let me say, first of all, I believe Hans-Peter is totally right. We currently see a lot of green megatrends. We see external influences such as climate change, demographic change, digitalization, you mentioned some of them. And they do require both. Yeah? They require a shift in technology on the one hand side, but also a shift in business models towards sustainability. So there's a clear driver for that. There's also a famous statement of Bill Gates who said that he believes that those countries that are able to build green and carbon neutral industries will be the ones leading the global economy for the next couple of decades. And I think he's right, especially if you listen to the things you said and you showed us on your charts. So there is, again, in a nutshell, there is a society demand towards sustainability and there is a business demand towards sustainability. So I believe this is a perfect match.
And in regards to this topic, sustainability, what does ZF do exactly to actively contribute to it?
Well, I would say already a lot, not enough, but already a lot. So, of course, we are part of ZF in some global initiatives. Let me just mention two. One is the UN 12 Sustainable Development Goals, which was born in Rio already in 2012. Or let me pick a more recent one, which is out of the World Economic Forum, which is the Alliance of CEO Global Green Leaders, very long title, which we joined in 2019. Yeah? Our clear target, and we have heard that, is to become climate neutral by 2040. For the aftermarket, I can say we already want to reduce our CO2 emissions by 80% compared to 2080 in the year 2030. So ambitious targets. Now you might ask, how do we do that? And I think we are working on infrastructure topics. We are working on product and services and individual behavior. And let me just give you an example out of each section. We implemented last year in Schweinfurt in northern Bavaria a solar carport. 40,000 square meters of solar panels producing 2.5 megawatt energy, which we feed into our production, which to my knowledge is the second biggest solar carport in all Germany. When it comes to product and services, we are working a lot on topics like e-trofit, so converting diesel-driven buses, city buses, we spoke about inner city pollution, converting diesel buses into electrically driven ones by applying our e-axles, for example, which leads into huge CO2 reduction. And in 2019, I had the pleasure to receive the Bus Planner Sustainability Award in Berlin on behalf of ZF Aftermarket, which was a nice event, by the way. And of course, this is ongoing. And I said personal behavior because I believe change starts with a change of personal behavior. So ZF is really encouraging its employees to move towards battery electric vehicles or hybrid vehicles, so to go that way, and is also supporting the activities. So to give you an example, the company is sponsoring the wallbox installation. I also have one at home now. But behind that wallbox installation, it's not the sponsoring, it's more to have a contract with an energy provider who is feeding in 100% green energy. Just 3 examples out of a lot of things that are currently going on.
That is absolutely interesting, Marco. And Holger, if we dwell on it a little bit more, I mean, obviously challenging. I mean, if I hear all the to-dos, obviously the list is really, really long. But then again, it is also the opportunity. And when we have what Hans-Peter said earlier, I mean, our children are the future and they're inheriting the planet that we're leaving behind. And that's pretty scary, if you ask me. I get goosebumps when I think about it. My son is 8. And by the time, you know, when we're probably not on this planet anymore, they need to live here and manage and survive. So obviously, with all the things that Marco said, it's obviously also the opportunities. Challenging, but opportunities.
Yeah, it's you call it challenge. Yeah, Hans-Peter would say deep danger, I guess you said. So I think it's really clear. It's a huge challenge, and we have to say, if we as a company we commit to being climate neutral by 2040, you might say. Yeah, this is a lot of time and we can all adapt. But you're already shaking your head, it's not the case. Because being climate neutral as a company means that you need to be climate neutral in your total value chain. And this includes your suppliers and materials. And we are working with our suppliers to become climate neutral. But it also includes the so-called downstream. So everything what our customers are doing. So if we want to be climate neutral, all our value network, all our customers and suppliers, they also need to be climate neutral. And that's why we are so engaged and trying to convince everyone to join us on this journey, because we cannot do it alone. So again, we are together in this.
Quite frankly, yeah, you can't do it alone. It's not just the company and your goals, but every single individual has to change. It has to also get in the mind of the little ones all the way to the old ones. And I guess that is the main challenge, to get everybody along on this ride, right? Martin, let's jump a little bit deeper into the topic. Let's zoom into the aftermarket. What exactly does that mean for ZF Aftermarket? And what would you say, what are the activities that are mainly in the focus?
Well, I guess as we heard already from my colleagues, our clear mission is to be the front runner for a green and sustainable aftermarket. Therefore, our sustainability targets are crucial elements in our business strategy. The aftermarket specific targets are closely linked to the ZF Group strategy, including elements like climate neutrality with clear CO2 reduction targets, plastic-free packaging, or educational and training programs for customers and staff. As Marco already mentioned, we have the clear mission to be climate neutral by 2040, and we are tackling different areas, as we already have heard. So on the product side, so how we produce, sell the products, and then all the logistics. We are looking, as Holger already mentioned, the up and downstream of our value chain, so suppliers, customers, and even their customers. And also we are rethinking our own behavior. So how do we do business travel and commuting in the future? If you look at all the actions that we are doing, it is really impacting actually the whole business, and it's quite disruptive. But this is exactly what is expected from us. So by doing all these efforts, taking all these efforts, we follow a clear customer-centric approach and differentiate also ourselves from the competition. We will hear later a bit more in depth. So we have the first product categories that we are piloting with green product lines, and we are expanding further our remanufacturing footprint.
And we have a film for that. We call it Reman, for the remanufacturing, what you said. So at this point, let's have a little look at the film.
Hello and welcome to Czech Republic. We are in our ZF plant in Friedland, one of the centers of excellence for remanufacturing worldwide. Today we will talk about remanufacturing and sustainability. So let's go in and let's get started directly in the core sorting area. In the world of remanufacturing, core means the used and returned parts. Core is the center of everything. No core, no business. Or as we say, the one who has the core is the king. Circular economy is essential here. We produce a remanufactured part, sell it via distribution channel to garage, mechanic, or end user. After the remanufactured part is installed, the old part is put into box and sent back to us. This used part is then remanufactured. And that is how circular economy works. The old part identification is essential for planning and process efficiency. Here we have invented the process a bit at ZF. We are using optical machine identification system, which is built on neural network. That means it is learning with every identification and every trial, like a human brain. The solution helps us to increase efficiency and have far better flexibility. Even, in quotes, untrained operator can identify the core. Imagine we have to identify thousands and thousands of different part numbers. The machine is capable to identify safely 500 different part numbers. The disassembly is the next step of the process. We put the product apart and then individual components go their specific process. For example, cleaning, blasting, and surface coating of different kinds, as well as machining, polishing, and quality checks. At the end of that process, you see component like new, look and quality. This is where we save our environment most, reusing components which can securely live their second life. And we can offer products which are no longer available as original spare part. Today, the cars last much longer, but innovation cycle gets shorter, remanufacturing is a prime example of successfully, ecologically, and also economically closing that gap. Assembly of remanufactured part is similar to assembly of new. In fact, we in ZF are producing new part on the same lines as remanufactured, including applications for hypersport cars with specific requirements. The lines are made by the same suppliers as serial production lines or are made to the same specification. No compromise on testing or safety features. The assembly and test lines are optimized for so-called high-variety, low-volume production, offering short changeover times and being able to accommodate a lot of different shop orders every day, starting with a quantity of one piece. Each and every remanufactured product is tested before moving on to packaging. We truly believe in quality of our remanufactured products at ZF. This is why we decided to offer extended warranty period for selected product groups, such as passenger car calipers here. In our engineering centers, we are looking on what to do next, which products, which technology, which methods. Of course, you will see a lot of conventional products here around, but we are also looking into the future, and I will show you something now. Like this one here, the EVD2, our ZF electric driveline. Our colleagues in ZF Saarbrücken are just working on developing a remanufacturing solution which we can offer to our customers. Over the years, we have developed a lot of solutions to remanufacture products, including electronics, individual electronic components exchange, or printed circuit board replacement design. Performance and end-of-line functional testing are also developed in-house. At ZF, we remanufacture around 1.5 million parts every year. By doing so and reusing components, we save more than 50,000 tons of CO2 emissions. That is an equivalent of 300 million kilometers driven in a passenger car. But importantly, many of our remanufacturing plants are CO2 neutral or even positive, like this one in Friedland. In ZF Friedland, we save more CO2 emissions by reusing components instead of new, as we consume in our production, including energy consumed in machining and new parts production. The whole building is CO2 positive, and that is awesome. So all in all, remanufacturing offers an alternative to new parts. Very often the only alternative except copy parts. With supply chain sustainability, environmental sustainability and better value for the customers. At ZF, we also keep the standard of the quality. Thank you very much and see you soon. Bye bye.
What a great film. That certainly went into detail, and it was very interesting to find out what remanufacturing is all about, Martin. But also that was a plant in Friedland in the Czech Republic, but there are more places like that, right?
Yes, you're absolutely right. So we just have seen a spotlight on one of our various reman facilities. We have a global remanufacturing footprint with plants all around the globe. So from Europe to China, from North to South America, and across various divisions. So also including for sure the aftermarket division, but also our truck and transmission business is contributing to this unique footprint. Just to give you an example, we have, as already mentioned in the video, with this unique footprint we are very proud of, we can save more than 50,000 tons of CO2 pollution currently. And for sure we are expanding this footprint continuing.
That's absolutely important. We have a new guest here now. I'd like to. We're extending our discussion by one person. We have Simone Dietz with us. You're the product portfolio management braking person, basically. So wonderful having you here. Before we talk to you, Simone, I just need to ask Hans-Peter one question, because while you were watching the film and also while Martin was talking, I saw you looked like you were thinking about it a lot. So when we say that ZF and we are really pushing it and working towards a better future. Do you think, I mean, we're saying 2040, for example, is one of the deadlines for certain things. Is that fast enough in your point of view?
A very difficult question. There's nothing fast enough. It cannot be fast enough, to be clear. But I think we have a big rethinking. And the new topic, also last week at the II Mobility, was really circular economy. Now I have the feeling it's here lived. Also, maybe many years ago they started. And the second life remanufacturing, really putting it in a circular economy, I think it's one of the key assets. Not just to look at the whole business value chain, but really have this reuse and use materials and use them again. Because the biggest factor is what kind of materials we use from our nature. And if we can reuse them, it's a very big step in our thinking. And it's the only way how to get, at one point, really zero carbon neutral.
And I guess, Holger, that is something you're very proud about, that you're really jumping onto this topic and remanufacturing and already doing so much there.
Yeah. Absolutely. So Hans-Peter, you're having a very good point. And we are proud about what we are doing already. So others might still talk about it, and they might set targets, but we are in a different stage. We are doing sustainable activities, like especially the remanufacturing, in all these locations across the world since decades. So it's nothing new for us to act in that way, and you save like up to 95% of material and energy and CO2 compared to producing a new part. So I think this is pretty impressive, and I think we have seen that already today we save the CO2 of driving 300 million kilometers a year just with our remanufacturing facilities. So I think that's a good headwind, a good support, a good start. So I think we are in a good position, but I'm also with Hans-Peter. We really have to even increase our efforts to be there where we want to be.
Now, Simone, we talked about green energy in factories, so maybe you can give us some examples there. And also, as a product manager, you're in charge of one of the first product categories, actually, to carry this label. So what is this actually about? Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yes, sure. It's not only our plant in Friedland that we have seen in the movie that is actually CO2 neutral or positive. Also, our brake pad facilities in Spain are CO2 neutral. And we have also signed a contract for wind and solar energy. And we can say that the production of the brake pads is 100% environmentally friendly and also awarded with a green energy certificate. Yes, and another green highlight in the production of the brake pads is that we use a dry powder adhesive technology. So we can save or we can eliminate the organic solvent in the brake pad production, which also creates a very clean and friendly environment for the people working in the facilities. And all this without minimizing the quality of the product. I think this is also really a big step forward. Yeah, and of course, we are also working on greener packaging solutions. We remove or we do not use single plastic wrap around our boxes. And this is also really good point in this. Yeah.
Absolutely, Holger, you're nodding your head. It is a very good point.
It is a very good point, and I'm not just nodding my head, I'm also smiling because we are really proud. And I had the pleasure yesterday at our Automechanika press conference to announce these first 2 green aftermarket product lines. Especially, Simone, what you said, so what we are calling green aftermarket means produced with green energy, fully green energy, in a sustainable manner, with no plastic packaging, And the first two product lines are actually the TRW reman calipers from our reman facilities in Czech Republic that we just saw in the video. And the second one, Simone, you mentioned our brake pad production in Spain. In Spain, we are one of the largest brake pad producers for the aftermarket. In Spain, we are producing brake pads all over the world, and our TRW branded brake pads are from now on our green aftermarket brake pads, so produced with 100% green energy.
That's fantastic. That is really good news. Very, very good. And Simone, we need to speak more about the brake pad, the blue brake pad, which is called Electric Blue. Please tell us about that.
Yes. This electric blue line was launched at the Automechanika in 2018. And it is a really innovative solution, and it was the first of its kind in the aftermarket, only for electric and hybrid vehicles. And at the moment, with our portfolio, we cover more than 95% of the electric vehicles driving around in Europe, and as well more than 90% of the hybrid cars driving in Europe. So we are already and always extending this range with new applications coming up in the market. And these special brake pads reduces noise and vibration in the car, which is more apparent in an electric and hybrid car because of the missing combustion engine noises. So really nice benefits.
Absolutely brilliant benefits.
Yeah, so this actually means, so if you have a workshop, if you are a mechanic, and if you get a hybrid or electric car in your workshop, you can repair it. You don't have to send the car drivers or the vehicle owners to a franchised workshop. Yeah, you can do it, and we have these brake pads, and of course they need to be noise reduced. Right? Everyone can imagine if you drive without the engine noise, you hear more things. You hear the brakes suddenly.
Yeah.
So we developed, our engineers in Spain, they developed this new line, Electric Blue, TRW Electric Blue, for the new electric and hybrid vehicles.
Fantastic. By the way, one thing I love, all day I've been watching that, all of you are burning for this topic. I mean, when you're all talking, it's like an inner fire. And for all of you watching from worldwide, I hope that this fire really comes across to you because, or hopefully you feel this inner fire as well. I think that's really something that speaks for itself. And that's really, fantastic. In regards to these footprints we're hearing about, Hans-Peter, everyone needs to reduce things by themselves. I mean, it's something that is absolutely crucial in regards to their own carbon footprints. So when it comes down to that, what can we do? What do you do?
I think we need a new currency. The currency, you tell, is our personal mobility footprint. We need it also for goods, not just for us human beings. And we need to think what makes sense. How do we move things smarter from A to B? And in the end, it's a lot about sharing. It's a lot about using the capacity we have. And we need to look at, like Holger said, the whole picture. You know, what do we need to produce? The infrastructure, recycling everything. So this needs to be taken into account. And in the end, we're going to have a discussion, I think, the next years about the real costs of mobility. The real costs. Not just what we pay for lease or for petrol, but what are the whole costs really to make it neutral in terms of sustainability. So what do we need to pay to be really sustainability in our own mobility behavior? And so again, I think it will be just a currency, not just for mobility, but for food and other sectors. So our footprint is major important.
Absolutely majorly important, right, Holger? How do you see this topic? Same thing, probably.
Absolutely same thing. So, but I also know that the discussion is often very much impacted by all the restrictions and all these targets and settings and things that will not be allowed anymore. Yeah. So when you think about that in the European Union by 2035, we are not going to have combustion engines anymore on the road. Yeah. So there are these discussions to say, okay, is this good? Can we make it, etc. And I think we have to wake up. So we cannot close our eyes anymore. We cannot stand still anymore. We cannot wait anymore. Yeah? So we need to act. And I think it was clear in this panel also, it's getting clear hopefully, that we are acting. and also in the aftermarket. It's not a thing where we can say, oh, let's wait for the car manufacturers to do it. I think the aftermarket can contribute. Everyone can contribute and challenge, like, am I doing the right things? Will the next generation thank me for what I did?
You can be the key for circular in the end, in the aftermarket.
Exactly.
That's where it starts again.
The aftermarket is exactly what experts call circular economy. Yeah, it's at the heartbeat of the aftermarket to remanufacture products, also to recycle products, to reuse products. Yeah, we are now looking into, for example, what do we do with the electric battery? So the most expensive spare part, but also one that is not really good for the environment.
So aftermarket is getting sexy. Finally.
Exactly. It's a
About time.
sexy product, you're right, it's a sexy product for the aftermarket. And again, we talk about a remanufacturing case. Or it might be a reuse and repurpose case where you take the electric battery out of a vehicle and you have a second life for that battery for a homeowner or for an office building where you then have the battery pack to store the energy.
And now at the end of the topic, we have one more highlight, Hans-Peter. You're smiling from one ear to the other because, I mean, everybody obviously knows the Isetta. I mean, it's such a classic car, such an amazing car. And we want to show you something here because it's called the Microlino. And Hans-Peter, you're an expert in this. You can tell us all about this because that really is a very, very interesting car with a lot of potential. I think you need to come more over here in the light. Otherwise, you're... Come here. Yeah, there you go. Tell us about the Microlino.
That's the future. I call it the new car porn. And I really think we need this kind of new approach to move in our cities. You know, this car was born in the 60s in Italy. And there were 3 companies. One of them was BMW, who made them very popular and successful. Like you mentioned, the BMW Zeta. Wim, a Dutch guy, he invented the micro scooter in 1996. So it was the start of micromobility we have now in our streets. And 2016, in the Salone di Automobili in Geneva, he showed this concept car like we have it here. And now, after 6 years, last week on the IAA, there was the world premiere of the Microlino 2.0. I know this deeply because I'm one of the 3 official appointed test drivers.
Oh, wow.
And I drove with the same model between May and today, 3,653 kilometers in and around Munich. So my longest journey was to the Tegernsee. So it was really, it all worked out. I'm really enjoying every mile. And I get a lot of feedback, a lot of criticism. Is this safe? Yes, it is an issue. But most people really thumbs up.
Okay.
And I'm really looking forward. And I think we will rock with Microlino. We will show how mobility in the cities can really work, you know. And just 2 examples. The weight of this car with me and Holger is only 1/3, or it's the same weight as a battery of a SUV.
Oh, really?
Big car.
Okay.
That's one example.
Yeah.
And if you park this downtown, it needs 3 Microlinos fit on 1 parking space of an average SUV. Really just 2 figures, you know, and we need this discussion.
Interesting figures, absolutely.
We talk about footprint. We are right in discussion about our mobility footprint.
Perfect. You know what I would love to see? I would love to see you in the car because obviously we need to see the inside of the car, and it's very, very small. You're a tall man, but obviously it looks very cozy.
It's big.
Yeah, it's big enough, that's for sure. And
we have place. We can drive out here.
And it's very. What I love is very. You know, you've got everything inside. There are not a lot of buttons in here, are there?
But it's reduced to the max.
Yeah.
And we just have really mileage. We have not more than 3 points.
Yeah.
You can integrate your iPhone. It's really simplicity. And also the 2.0, because it's already 5 years old.
Yeah.
It's working with LED, also lights. It's a little bit bigger. It got a bit bigger back with a wider back, whatever.
You got more space.
Yes.
That's for sure.
And it's enough for 2 people and also for your shopping.
But it's 2 people who have to like each other.
Yes.
Yes.
But normally I love to take people with me. No, but it's really for 2 people,
one person,
and it's a lot of fun to drive.
Fantastic.
You are very fast, so you will maybe You see in the video, you can take it up with any Porsche or others.
That means top speed here?
Not top speed, but the first acceleration.
In the beginning, exactly. Yeah, the acceleration is fantastic. All right. Well, what a lovely little car. I'm looking forward to then seeing the 2.0 on the street too. Probably will you be the test driver for the 2.0 as well?
I'm waiting for it.
Oh.
We are just producing the first 10.
Okay.
They're again produced in Italy, where it was born. So beginning of next year, we will give the first cars to our German customers.
Fantastic. Dr. Hans-Peter Kleebinder, thank you so much. Also, thank you so much to the four of you. And at the end, we have a little film, I believe, about the Microlino. So thank you so much, and see you later. That's it for this topic. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.